Healthcare, a multi-speciality quaternary care hospital in the heart of Chennai, today announced that it had successfully performed a rare surgery to treat uncontrolled seizure attacks in 16-month-year-old infant, Master Jaipochi. A 15-member team under the leadership of Dr. Sridhar K, Director.
I think now it's become a routine affair, and we can, recognize most of you. We are seeing us each other more frequently, and thank you for being with us for hearing yet another critical achievement of NGO. Members of the dais, Dr. Sridhar, Dr. Panaya, Dr. Arup, Dr. Alisar, and rest of the team members who have been present here and also been supporting the neuro team for making this magnificent achievement. It's truly a clinical milestone when we talk about something which is high-end in neurosciences. Epilepsy is the second largest neurological disorder which is encountered in India at this stage and worldwide. And this is one of the pinnacle of neurosurgical work in terms of skill which any institution can showcase. And we at MGM are very proud about the fact that we have a very comprehensive team which can address all sorts of neurological issues and neuro disorders under one roof. So it gives us immense pride when a clinical work of this nature can be amplified through the help of media at a national level. So we request all of you to understand this case very well and please amplify to the truest potential of this. At least everybody who deserves such a thing should know about it, and we want media to play a positive role in helping us taking it to the next level. And I wish Dr. Sridhar and team for continuing doing what they're doing at the best. And thank you one and all for being with us today. Thank you.
And it's very important in the first 1.5 to 2.5 years that the brain is kept very nice so that the child's brain develops properly, because on that will depend the child's later on intelligence in life. At that time, if a child keeps getting attacks of fits, it's very important always when there are fits in children that the fits get controlled. So let me just tell you about the story of this child. I have made a small PPT, you can see it on the screen. So if you just turn your attention to the screen. So can you make it a slideshow, please? Yeah, can you go to the next slide? So baby Jai Prajit had a difficult labor, so had birth asphyxia, which means that had difficulty in breathing and there was poor oxygenation in the blood, was on ventilator and in the ICU, in the neonatal ICU for a long time after birth. And up to 4 to 5 medications were given to the child. Little bit the fits used to come down, but by 1 year the child kept going back to having 50 to 60 attacks per day. When the child came to us, he was seen by Dr. Arasar, pediatrician, and by Dr. Arumodi, pediatric neurologist, who then decided that a child of 1 year, 4 months having almost 60 attacks, and the mother sometimes says almost 100 attacks a day, that used to not only affect the child but also the quality of life of the family. Imagine having to look after a child who's having almost 60, 70, 80 attacks per day. That's a terrible thing. And the child was on 4 to 5 drugs. So next slide please. So we evaluated the child by doing what is called a video EEG. Now this, whenever there is any patient whose epilepsy or fits is not coming under control, these are investigations which need to be done. So we did a video EEG, and in that we recognized that the place from which the fits is coming is not in one place but in multiple places on both sides of the brain. And from those places it was spreading to the entire brain. We also did an MRI. Can we have the next slide? Which showed that because of the birth problem, the MRI, the brain structure itself was not good. And that was what was causing this sort of a multifocal fits. There was, instead of good brain matter, there are large areas of water collection because the brain had got affected in those areas. So the question was, what can we do to help this child? Child has already taken all sorts of medications for last 1 year, 4 months with no help. So what we decided to do, that the only option which we could help the child in was to do a surgery. This surgery was to do what is called a corpus callosotomy. Next slide. Next just press. Where that arrow that you see, you go between the two halves of the brain and you divide the fibers, nerve fibers, which connect the two halves of the brain, so that the epileptic focus which transmits its epilepsy across the brain does not get transmitted, and therefore the fits can get controlled. We discussed this with the parents multiple times, and believe me, they were so desperate, they immediately said yes. But we had to tell them, look here, this is an attempt to do this because this is one of the only options that we have. So let us do it. Next, please. So this is what we did, and this is the diagram to show it approximately what we do. We go between the two halves of the brain and cut those fibers there. Next. So this is in the theater, and we did this with continuous EEG. You all know EEG is electroencephalography. Just like ECG for the heart, which is electrocardiography, EEG records the electrical activity of the brain. So we did this with continuous electrical activity of the brain to see, as we are doing the surgery, what happens to those fits attacks, which is coming from different parts of the brain. Next, please. So this is our theater. This is how we do. We do it under microscope with high magnification, with the monitoring there all the time. Next, please. This is a small video showing the surgery. We open the covering of the brain, and then we go between. You look at the small vessel. That's how delicate the child's brain is at this age. So we have to be very, very careful, and at high magnification, go between the two halves of the brain. This is what we are doing here. And then we are recording the EEG. Now the EEG there, you can see the circle, it shows the epileptic activity. So there is a lot of fits going on. And then we use very, very fine instruments. Now some of these instruments are sub-millimeter in the tip. It is less than a millimeter in the tip. It's 0.3 millimeters. So we then completed the surgery of dividing those fibers. And as we did that, what we found is,
we are discussing here, there are so many children who are having seizures and having recurrent seizures which is not controlled by the usual medications which the doctors are giving. But whatever it is, a seizure which is happening repeatedly has a really bad adverse effect on the development and the social well-being of the child. Now the seizures can be due to so many causes, whether it is a birth injury or a genetic defect or a malformation. Whatever it is, when seizures happen repeatedly, we call it as epilepsy. And as told earlier, epilepsy is a very common condition, particularly in childhood. Now this epilepsy has to be treated or controlled at the earliest. The more we delay, the more the adverse effect on the child's development. Now the thing is, we have to predict at an early stage with this intervention, be it medication or something else, what is going to be the outcome. By this drug, if I am sure that it is going to help the child, I will be confidently giving it. But there are some group or subgroup of children with epilepsy who I can guess or predict that this child may not respond to the medications. These are the children who are having severe damage to the brain or a severe genetic defect, having recurrent seizures, many different types, several types of seizures in a day, and happening daily, on a daily basis. So these children may not respond to the drugs, and it is our duty to recommend surgery at the earliest so that the seizures are controlled and child gets back the usual activity of respective other age. So that's what I want to tell. But seizures are very common. Mostly they respond to drugs. It is our duty to pick up those children who are not responding and give an early intervention. before it gets too late?
Yes, we did the surgery, but doing surgery on such a small child and then looking after the child after the surgery in the ICU is also a challenge. So I would now like Dr. Ponnaiah, who is the Associate Director of the Institute and the Head of the Neuro Anesthesia and Critical Care, to talk about that.
So when a small kid is subjected to surgery, the most common thing which the parents will be worried about is the risk of the surgery, risk of anesthesia. Will the child tolerate anesthesia? Such a small child. Luckily, we are in a setup where we have got all the monitoring, including continuous monitoring of the cardiac system, respiratory system, everything, so that even in small kids, the surgery, this kind of major surgery, just a major surgery operating in the brain, which can be done at a very minimal risk. It is like the risk of flying in a flight. So the technology is so evolved, and we are lucky to have the technology in our hospital so that we can help such child go through major surgery at a very minimal risk. It's not only about the anesthesia. After anesthesia, the child has to be taken care of in the ICU and then in the pediatric ward. And a multidisciplinary team consisting of neurologists, neurocritical care and the pediatric critical care specialist are available round the clock to see the child, to continuously monitor the child with advanced equipments and monitoring, so that the whole process of surgery becomes very smooth and without any issues and very less complications. So in that way, even the small kids are able to undergo surgery with the advanced technology which is available, and we are very thankful for those technology in this hospital which is made available to us, and as well as a team of specialists who work together to reduce the risk and complications.
To control fits, and this is very important, especially in children, because it affects brain growth and development. And we must look at surgery as an early treatment option for these difficult to treat and difficult to control epilepsy, because the risk is low and the dividend or the outcome which you get is very good. So with this is the story and this is our take-home message, which we want all of you to help us spread, that this is possible. And we are very lucky here in MGM, because as a surgeon, if I don't have the support of pediatrics or the pediatric neurologist or the neurocritical care team like how we have it here, it will be very difficult to do such major surgery. So, like Dr. Ponnaiah said, it's an integrated care of the child which provides the excellent results and outcomes. Thank you. It's a very long question and the answer will be very, very long. So I'll just give you a concise answer. Fits are due to abnormal electrical impulses which originate in different parts of the brain and then spread sometimes to the rest of the brain. Now, for that you have to understand that our brain and our nervous system works through electrical currents and electricity. There are nerve impulses which work through electricity. So just like in our electrical cables anywhere, when you have a short circuit, you have a spark. Similarly, when you have a short circuit in the brain, these are the origins of epilepsy. Now, sometimes these are not big enough to be seen outside in the body, but when it crosses a certain amount of threshold, then you see it outside like fits. Now, the reason for fits happening are numerous. It can be due to a birth problem, just like what Dr. Arasar said, like birth asphyxia, difficult labor, child does not breathe. It can be due to congenital abnormalities in the brain, which can be detected even before delivery. It can be because of problems after. It can be because of an injury. It can be because of a tumor. It can be because of many such things. It can be even because of some congenital or genetic metabolic abnormalities, which the pediatricians and the neurologists see. But the important thing is to recognize which of these fits will respond to treatment with medicine.
Or things from happening again and again. So it's a very, for that episode should be ascertained and should be evaluated and treated at the earliest. As sir told, there are some seizures who do not respond to medications. So we have to find them early. There are most of the times the seizures respond to medications. We have got numerous wonderful drugs, sometimes with less side effects also. But from the beginning, there are some clinical situations or epilepsies who do not respond to medications. For them, this epileptic procedure, surgical procedure, is really a big book. As sir told, Arasar sir told, it depends on the amount of brain damage the child has already sustained. It could be due to a birth asphyxia, or a maldevelopment of the brain, or a genetic insult or a metabolic problem. The greater the insult, the greater the asphyxia, as perhaps happened in this child, the greater the chance that this child will not respond to medications. Because the seizure load, which we mean in technical terms as an electrical impulse, which has gone out of control. And that electrical impulse happens repeatedly and becomes an epilepsy. And when beyond a certain stage, it is treated only by surgical intervention.
So with the technology, with the monitoring setup which is available, and with the expertise and the team which we have got, these complications which are mentioned in the textbooks can be minimized to a bare minimum as much as possible. So even a small kid can undergo major surgery with very, very minimum risk.
Dose and the number of drugs. As said earlier, the child has an amount of brain damage which is going to be there. But the problem of repeated seizures is now totally curtailed by the surgical procedure. Now we just give a maintenance dose of a minimal anticonvulsant to keep the child calm and have a seizure-free life. And I think this seizure, generally we give anticonvulsants for 3 years. There are some doctors who give for 5 years. But that again, it depends on the initial damage. The greater the damage, it is for a longer life, and sometimes even lifelong. It does happen. Well, because due to repeated seizures, the child's airway closes, the breathing can sometimes get reduced or unfortunately even stop. The first thing is to remove the froth, open the mouth, see that the child normally breathes. And without wasting time, the child has to be shifted to the nearest hospital or the nearest place to curtail or stop the seizures. It can be either by medications in the form of IV drugs or a nasal spray or a rectal treatment of rectal injection so that the seizure is immediately stopped. So this is a medical emergency and has to be stopped at the earliest.
The adult or child, nothing should be poured into the mouth. Soda kudukuren, tea kudukuren pannakudadu. Soda ஊத்தக்கூடாது வாயில. So that is very, very important because we need to make sure things don't go into the lung and block the breathing. So if there is a seizure at home, make sure that the person is breathing properly, child or adult. Turn the person to the side, no tight clothing, and then rush the person to a hospital. The surgery, the parents were very concerned because of previous opinions that they got that the child will be bedridden or may have weakness completely on one side. But that is why it is very important when we operate on these children that it must be done with great precision under high magnification using the operating microscope with great delicacy. The brain in these children is like a flower. You cannot just do whatever you want and the flower will get crushed. So you have to deal with it like that. So it has to be done with great delicacy and therefore the child is doing well. So long-term wise, the child will have no side effect. The child is doing now that there is no side effect of the child because of the surgery. The child will have some problems because of the birth problems that the child had. Dr. Arasar or somebody can talk on that.
These children have two problems simultaneously. One is the fits or seizures, other is the developmental delay. That is because of the brain damage that is existing. Actually, what we have now done, this continuous fits has been interfering with the development of the child. and also with the intervention that we want to give. So we were not able to do physiotherapy, we were not able to do developmental stimulation, we were not able to do occupational, nothing we could do because of the continuous fits. But now that the fits has come under control, now it gives us a lot of scope for improving the development. Now the child we know has got large areas of brain that is damaged because of birth asphyxia, but still we could work out whatever brain that is left behind that can do this work. We can train that brain to do most of the work and take over and see that the child does from what it is now at least maximize its potential and then try to make it at least sit, stand, walk, talk. This is the thing, basic thing that we require, and our team is working on the thing how to make this child developmentally better.
Called neural rewiring. So if you look at science papers, this is what is now being talked about all over the world is neural rewiring and neural networking.
Sridhar, Dr. Arastar, Dr. Arulmozhi, Dr. Ponaya and our CEO for organizing this press conference and sharing to the friends of media about the clinical innovation that has occurred at MGM Healthcare. As Dr. Sridhar pointed out, at MGM Healthcare, integrated Neuro Care is offered where there is a multidisciplinary team offering the best of clinical outcomes and medical innovation. I would like to thank all the friends from the media who have come in person and those of them who have joined us online to understand about what has been done for this child. I would also like to thank the parents, Ms. Pavitra, and the child for coming here today and sharing their emotions and the benefits of what has been done as far as the child has got now post the surgery. Thank you one and all. We now invite the friends of media to join us for lunch. Thank you again.
I think we remove our masks. Just 1 second. Good job.